Bakarwals are a nomadic, pastoral, and tribal community of people in Jammu and Kashmir, India, who are known for their close association with livestock. They are a subset of the Gujars, a larger ethnic group that also inhabits parts of Pakistan and Afghanistan. The Bakarwals are thought to have originated in the 20th century as a mix of Gujars and Awans who migrated to Jammu and Kashmir from the Hazara division of Pakistan. They traditionally practiced Hinduism before converting to Islam. Year 2001. During this period, the insurgency in Kashmir was at its height, and the Indian Army's counterinsurgency operations were equally intense. Intrusions and the elimination of infiltrators had become routine for the army. Repeated attempts by insurgents were thwarted, as the Indian Army's vigilance made it nearly impossible to succeed. It is said that, on one occasion, they crossed all boundaries. They continuously intruded into a sector close to the line of control, targeting and killing the Bakarwals, beheading them, and stealing their livestock. The ghost operators of the 9th Parachute Regiment Special Forces decided to give them a fair response. In pitch-dark night, operators crossed the line of control. Location of action was a militant camp and was intentionally chosen because it was only 1 kilometer away from the biggest Pakistani brigade. No one was spared that night, and it was happening just around the corner of Pakistani army camp. It is believed that the operation was so secret that even the government didn't know about it. The operation was so special and critical that the CO of the battalion himself was leading the operation. This was one of the major operations to restore peace in Kashmir Valley. Operation Apache, which remains classified till this day, provided the public with a greater understanding of the capabilities of Indian Special Forces. The revelation of the operation highlighted the effectiveness and bravery of the Para-Special Forces in their counterinsurgency efforts in Jammu and Kashmir. Although it is known that Operation Apache took place, but the exact date and the number of operators involved remain undisclosed. This lack of detailed information is due to the sensitive nature of the operations, the need to protect personnel, and the importance of safeguarding tactical information. As a result, much of what is known about the operation comes from speculation, general awareness of Special Forces activities, media speculation and rumors, and word-of-mouth and anecdotal evidences. The Indian Armed Forces, one of the largest defense organizations in the world, boasts the second largest active personnel. They defend a diverse range of terrains, from the treacherous mountainous regions of the north to the scorching deserts of the west, as well as dense jungles and vast oceans. The Indian Armed Forces include various traditional military and paramilitary branches, each tasked with specific roles and responsibilities. Within this extensive organization, elite detachments are formed to carry out special operations. These specialized units, shrouded in secrecy, execute high-risk classified tasks that remain hidden from the public eye. We have all heard of the American Navy SEALs, British SAS, and Russian Spetsnaz. Today, we will dive into Indian Special Operations. These are the Special Forces of India. The Border Security Force, BSF, established on December 1, 1965, in response to the Indo-Pakistani War, is India's primary border guarding organization. As a paramilitary force, it is part of the Central Armed Police Forces, CAPF, and operates under the Ministry of Home Affairs. Tasked with protecting India's land borders during peacetime and preventing cross-border crimes, the BSF plays a crucial role in maintaining national security, serving as the first line of defense for the nation. Within the BSF, The Creek Crocodile Commandos are a specialized unit trained to operate in the challenging marshy and riverine terrains of Gujarat's Sur Creek area, a region that remains largely undemarcated due to its desolate and inhospitable nature. The Indo-Pakistan international border begins where Sur Creek meets the landmass from the Arabian Sea. Raised in 2009, the Creek Crocodile Commandos act as a quick reaction force to prevent smuggling and infiltration by unwanted elements. These commandos excel in border surveillance, anti-infiltration operations, and counter-terrorism missions, ensuring the security of India's sensitive coastal regions with their exceptional skills and dedication. On December 13, 2001, 5 terrorists, driving a car with Home Ministry and Parliament labels, breached the House of Parliament's security. Using a fake identity sticker, they bypassed the outer barriers and opened fire with AK-47s. The CRPF, alongside Delhi police and other security forces, quickly engaged the attackers in a fierce firefight, preventing them from reaching the main buildings where a parliamentary session was underway. This swift response minimized casualties and damage. All 5 terrorists were killed in the confrontation, which also resulted in the deaths of 9 security personnel, including CRPF members. The Central Reserve Police Force, CRPF, is a central armed police force in India under the Ministry of Home Affairs. Its primary role involves assisting the states and union territories in police operations to maintain law and order and provide internal security. Established on July 27, 1939, as the Crown Representatives Police, it was renamed the CRPF in 1949 after Indian independence. The CRPF is one of the largest paramilitary forces in the world, functioning under the Ministry of Home Affairs. It plays a crucial role in maintaining law and order, countering insurgency across India, assisting state police forces during riots, conducting anti-terrorism operations, ensuring security during elections, providing VIP security, and participating in disaster management. Additionally, in wartime, the CRPF assists the Indian Army. Within the CRPF is the elite unit known as the Commando Battalion for Resolute Action, Cobra, established in 2009. Cobra specializes in jungle warfare and counterinsurgency operations, particularly targeting Maoist insurgents. Cobra personnel undergo rigorous training in guerrilla warfare, jungle survival, and counterinsurgency tactics, ensuring proficiency in weapon handling, jungle navigation, and tactical operations. These commandos are trained to survive in harsh environments, excel in jungle warfare, and execute guerrilla tactics. They can disappear into dense jungles and execute missions with precision. Additionally, Cobra commandos operate in the Jammu and Kashmir and northeastern regions alongside other special operations units under the Indian Army and Police to counter insurgency and terrorist activities.
Attack on Army administrative base in Uri, North Kashmir. Gunfight on since 5:30 a.m. this morning. The latest that we are getting for you is that, according to sources, 4 terrorists have been neutralized. Initially, we were saying that around 4 terrorists.
On September 18, 2016, 4 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists from Pakistan launched an attack against an Indian Army Brigade headquarters near the town of Uri in Indian-administered Jammu and Kashmir. This attack resulted in the tragic death of 19 Indian soldiers from the 6 Bihar and 10 Dogra battalions. In retaliation, on September 29, 2016, Indian Army Para-Special Forces teams crossed the line of control into Pakistani-administered Kashmir to strike targets up to a kilometer within Pakistan-held territory. While the Para-SF units are often the focal point of this operation, they were not the only ones involved. Ghatak Platoons are specialized elite infantry units within the Indian Army, designed to act as heavily armed spearheads or shock troopers during operations or conflicts. These platoons are composed of the most physically fit and motivated soldiers in an infantry battalion, trained to outflank and attack the enemy from the rear without requiring support from the rest of the battalion. On September 29, 2016, Ghatak platoons from the 6 Bihar and 10 Dogra battalions joined the para-SF units for this surgical strike to ensure a sense of retribution for the Uri attack. Ghatak platoons are capable reconnaissance units within every infantry battalion of the Indian Army. Ghatak, a Sanskrit word meaning killer or lethal, was a name given to them by General Bipin Chandra Joshi. These platoons spearhead assaults ahead of the battalion, similar to the roles of scout sniper platoons and STA platoons of the U.S. Marine Corps, commando platoons of the British Army, Army Rangers of the U.S. Army. They can be tasked with special reconnaissance, raids on enemy artillery positions, airfields, supply dumps, tactical headquarters, or other special operations at a tactical level. They are also adept at directing artillery and air attacks on targets deep within enemy lines. Ghatak platoons, present in every infantry battalion of the Indian Army, consist of the most physically capable troops who undergo commando training and are better equipped than other platoons. Although highly skilled, they do not match the specialized training and mission profiles of the para-SF units. The 50th Indian Parachute Brigade was established on the 27th of October 1941, initially comprising the British 151st Parachute Battalion, the 152nd Indian Parachute Battalion from the British Indian Army, and the 153rd Gurkha Parachute Battalion. These units, along with several others, were later restructured to form the Parachute Regiment in 1952 after the independence. The battalions that once belonged to various infantry regiments were reorganized to create this elite new regiment. Today, the Parachute Regiment is a dual-purpose force within the Indian Army, functioning both as an airborne regiment and as the primary Special Forces unit. It is divided into two categories: paratroopers, who are airborne soldiers, and Special Forces operators. It is important to understand that not every soldier in the Parachute Regiment is an SF operator. Rather, they are paratroopers by designation. However, every para-SF soldier is first a paratrooper, as paratrooper qualification is a prerequisite for joining the Para-Special Forces. These highly trained soldiers excel in conducting special operations behind the enemy lines. A regular paratrooper in the Parachute Regiment wears the airborne chest patch, the maroon beret, and the Parachute Regiment cap badge. In contrast, a Special Forces operator is distinguished by the Balidan badge, or badge of sacrifice, and the Special Forces shoulder patch, while retaining the standard paratrooper insignia. Each SF battalion specializes in specific roles and undergoes unique training to operate under various adverse conditions. The SF battalions are known by distinct nicknames, reflecting their prowess. 1 Para-SF Red Devils, 2 Para-SF Predators, 3 Para-SF Russell's Viper, 4 Para-SF Daggers, 9 Para-SF the Mountain Rats, 10 Para-Special Forces Desert Scorpions, 11 Para-SF Vipers, 12 Para-SF Dirty Dozens, 21 Para-SF Wagnaks. Among these, the 4 Para-SF and 9 Para-SF units gained significant recognition for their involvement in the 2016 surgical strikes inside Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The 9th Para-SF is the oldest and most established of all the Special Forces units, and it is considered the most elite. While this is the standard information about the Parachute Regiment, recent sources suggest that the Indian Army Command has converted the non-Special Forces units into Special Forces, meaning that all battalions now operate as Special Forces units. However, due to the lack of additional information and official sources, this claim cannot be fully verified. All Indian Army personnel can volunteer for induction into the Special Forces. Some recruits join the Parachute Regiment directly, while others transfer from regular Army units. They undergo a 3-month probationary period and selection process for the Para-SF battalions. To become a Para-SF operator, soldiers must first qualify as paratroopers. Once selected, they can advance to the SF selection. Each of the 15 Para-SF battalions selects soldiers based on specific criteria. For example, 10 para-SF, known as the Desert Scorpions, requires a 3-month probation period focused on desert warfare, while 9 para-SF, specializing in mountain warfare, undergoes a 6-month course at the Special Forces Training School in Nahan, Himachal Pradesh, followed by further specialized selection. Although each para-SF battalion initially had geographical specialization, the training has evolved so that every battalion is now equipped to operate in various terrains and climatic conditions. On October 20, 1962, China launched simultaneous offensives in the Aksai-Chin region in the west and across the McMahon Line in the eastern sector, now known as Arunachal Pradesh. The Indian military, unprepared and poorly equipped for the high-altitude warfare, was quickly overwhelmed. The Chinese forces advanced rapidly, capturing key positions and inflicting heavy casualties. The war lasted until November 21, 1962, when China declared a unilateral ceasefire and withdrew to pre-war positions in the eastern sector, while retaining control over Aksai-Chin. The India-China War of 1962 was a brief but intense conflict that stemmed from a long-standing border dispute between India and China. The roots of the conflict can be traced back to differing interpretations of the border, particularly the McMahon Line, which was drawn in 1914 during the Simla Convention between British India and Tibet. China, however, did not recognize this boundary, leading to tensions that escalated into full-scale war. The aftermath of the war was a profound shock to India. The conflict exposed the weaknesses in India's military preparedness and intelligence, leading to significant changes in defense policy and military modernization. The war also had a lasting impact on India's foreign policy, pushing the country closer to the Soviet Union and leading to a re-evaluation of its relations with China. Tibet played a crucial role in the background of the conflict. In 1950, China invaded Tibet and incorporated it as an autonomous region. The Dalai Lama, the spiritual and political leader of Tibet, initially sought to negotiate with the Chinese government, but was eventually forced to flee to India in 1959 after a failed uprising against Chinese rule. The Indian government's decision to grant asylum to the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan refugees was one of the factors that strained relations between India and China, contributing to the tensions that led to the 1962 war. In the years following the war, the plight of Tibet and the presence of the Dalai Lama in India continued to be a source of tension between the two countries. The Indian government, recognizing the strategic importance of the Tibetan issue, decided to take a more active role in supporting the Tibetan cause, albeit covertly. This led to the formation of the Special Frontier Force, SFF, in 1962, a covert paramilitary unit composed primarily of Tibetan refugees. The SFF was established with the help of the CIA and was initially tasked with conducting guerrilla warfare against Chinese forces in the event of another conflict. The force was trained in specialized mountain warfare and operated under the direct supervision of the Indian Intelligence Agency, the Research and Analysis Wing. Over time, the SFF has evolved into an elite special forces unit, playing a crucial role in various covert operations and maintaining a significant presence in the border regions. Originally known as Establishment 22, was put under the direct supervision of India's Intelligence Bureau, IB, and later transferred to the Research and Analysis Wing, RAW. Although not formally a part of the Indian Army, the SFF operates under the Army's operational control, with its own distinct rank structure, charter, and training infrastructure. The unit falls under the authority of the Directorate General of Security within the Cabinet Secretariat and is headed by an Inspector General, typically a Major General from the Indian Army, who reports directly to the Prime Minister's office. The SFF is organized into 6 battalions: 1 Vikas, 2 Vikas, 3 Vikas, 5 Vikas, 6 Vikas, and 7 Vikas, each consisting of approximately 800 soldiers. These battalions are led by Indian Army officers holding the rank of colonel, ensuring that the force maintains a high level of discipline and operational cohesion. The SFF's unique structure and leadership enable it to execute specialized missions with the precision and effectiveness expected of an elite force. The creation of the SFF represented a pivotal advancement in India's military capabilities, especially in light of the nation's complex and often tense relationship with China. Over the years, the SFF has become an essential component of India's defense strategy, demonstrating the ability to operate in some of the most challenging terrains and playing a critical role in securing key areas along the border. The primary mission of the Special Frontier Force is to defend against the People's Liberation Army, PLA, while also conducting clandestine intelligence gathering and commando operations along the Chinese border. However, the SFF's role extends beyond this core responsibility. They have also been involved in significant military operations, including the Indo-Pakistani War of 1971, the Kargil War, and the China-India skirmishes of 2020 to 2021. The Garud Commando Force is the Special Forces unit of the Indian Air Force, established in February 2004. The unit's name is derived from Garuda, a deity in Hindu mythology, often depicted as the king of birds and the mount of the god Vishnu. The need for a specialized force arose after terrorists attempted to attack two major air bases in Jammu and Kashmir in 2001. Indian Air Force commanders recognized the necessity of having a dedicated commando unit trained in special forces techniques to protect critical assets. Initial plans in October 2001 envisioned a force of 2,000 commandos. The unit was initially called the Tiger Force, but it was later renamed the Garud Force. In September 2003, the Government of India approved the creation of a force trained on the lines of the Special Forces of the Army and Navy, with a focus on Air Force-specific operational tasks. They made their first public appearance during the Air Force Day celebrations in New Delhi on the 8th of October 2004. The Garud Commando Force is tasked with a range of operations, including direct action, special reconnaissance, rescuing downed pilots in hostile territory, establishing and controlling air bases in hostile environments, suppressing enemy air defenses, and destroying enemy assets such as radars. They also evaluate the outcomes of Indian airstrikes and use laser designators to guide them. Additionally, Garuds are highly trained in combat search and rescue, reconnaissance, and counter-insurgency operations in response to terrorist threats. The Garud Commando Force can be described as a fusion of U.S. Air Force's pararescue PJs, Tactical Air Control Party, and Special Reconnaissance Units. Unlike their counterparts in the Army and Navy, Garud candidates are not selected from volunteers in other branches. Recruitment is conducted directly through airmen selection centers via advertisements. Garud trainees undergo a 72-week training program, the longest among all Indian Special Forces, which includes basic and advanced training. The total duration before a trainee becomes a fully operational Garud is approximately 3 years. The initial phase is a 3-month probationary period, which filters out candidates for the subsequent phases of training. This phase, known for its high attrition rate, is conducted at the Garud Regimental Training Center in Hindan, Ghaziabad, near New Delhi. Due to the classified nature of their operations, little is known about specific Garud commando missions. However, Garuds have been deployed to Congo as part of a UN peacekeeping contingent and have operated alongside the special forces of the Indian Army in Jammu and Kashmir to gain operational experience. Currently, Garuds are active in Jammu and Kashmir, where they conduct counterinsurgency operations and neutralize terrorists in the region. On the night of November 26, 2008, Mumbai faced an unprecedented crisis. 10 terrorists, armed with assault rifles and grenades, launched coordinated attacks at multiple locations, including the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, Oberoi Trident, Nariman House, and Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus. The attackers took hostages, set fires, and killed indiscriminately, turning the bustling city into a battleground. The 2008 Mumbai attacks, commonly known as 26/11, is considered India's 9/11, marking the deadliest terrorist assault in the nation's history. During the attacks, the terrorists specifically sought out foreigners, particularly Americans and other nationals. At the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel and the Oberoi Trident, they went room to room, asking for passports to identify foreigners. Those identified as Americans, Britons, or Israelis were singled out and executed. The attackers were motivated by a desire to strike at symbols of Western influence, and their targeting of foreigners was a deliberate part of their plan to inflict maximum terror and attract global attention. The Mumbai police, though quick to respond, found themselves outmatched by the heavily armed and highly trained attackers. The police were equipped primarily for maintaining law and order, not for countering such a well-planned and deadly assault. As the situation escalated, it became clear that a specialized force was needed to handle the crisis. The National Security Guard, NSG, was called in. The NSG commandos, known for their expertise in counter-terrorism operations, arrived in Mumbai. Their mission was clear: to neutralize the terrorists and rescue the hostages. The operations were challenging, with the terrorists well-armed and strategically positioned. The commandos, however, systematically cleared the targeted buildings, rescuing hostages and eliminating the attackers. After nearly 60 hours of intense combat, the last of the terrorists were neutralized, bringing an end to the siege.
Been saying that there have been at least 3 terrorists inside. So we have got 3 terrorist bodies of 3 terrorists so far. We are going through the entire hotel, through the corridors, through the rooms, until we are able to check each and every room. I will not say that my operation is over.
In all, at least 174 people, including 20 security force personnel and 26 foreign nationals, were killed. More than 300 people were injured. 9 of the 10 terrorists were killed, and 1 was arrested. The National Security Guard, NSG, also known as the Black Cats, was established in 1984 in response to the growing threat of terrorism in India, particularly following the events of Operation Blue Star and the assassination of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. Unlike traditional paramilitary forces, the NSG is a specialized federal contingency unit recruited from both the Indian Army and Central Armed Police Forces, CAPF. It is designed to be deployed only in exceptional situations and is not intended to assume the responsibilities of state police forces or other paramilitary units. Modeled on the Special Air Service of the United Kingdom and Germany's GSG-9, the NSG is equipped to handle a wide range of counter-terrorism operations, including hijackings and hostage rescues. Operating under the Ministry of Home Affairs, the NSG comprises 2 primary units, the Special Action Group, SAG, and the Special Ranger Group, SRG. The SAG, consisting of personnel primarily from the Indian Army, many of whom were already part of the Army's Special Forces. They are tasked with direct action missions such as hostage rescues and counter-terrorism operations. The SRG, made up of Central Armed Police Forces personnel, also often from Special Forces background, provides essential support during these operations. The selection process for the NSG is notoriously rigorous, with a dropout rate of approximately 70 to 80%. Candidates undergo intense physical and mental training over a 14-month period, divided into 3 phases. Before entering the main training, candidates are evaluated in a pre-selection stage, which includes tests assessing their physical and psychological capabilities. The training itself covers a wide range of skills, including close quarter battle, CQB, hostage rescue, bomb disposal, and urban warfare. NSG commandos are trained to operate in diverse environments and under extreme conditions, making them one of the most versatile and effective forces in the country. The NSG also deploys air marshals on selected flight routes. These operators, dressed in civilian attire, blend seamlessly with other passengers and remain unnoticed by the general public. Armed and highly trained, they are prepared to prevent and neutralize any attempted hijacking. In response to the criticism for its delayed response during the November 2008 Mumbai attacks, the Ministry of Home Affairs decided to establish NSG contingents in major regions across India to prevent such delays in the future. These regional hubs are home to the Special Composite Group (SCG) units, which consist of personnel from both the Indian Army and CAPF. The SCG units are responsible for responding to incidents near their respective hubs and are led by an officer of colonel rank on deputation from the Indian Army. The government has plans to establish additional hubs across the country. Since 2018, the NSG has also been deployed in Kashmir, providing vital support to Indian forces in high-risk operations. On November 26, 2008, the Marine Commandos Marcos were stationed at INS Abhimanyu in Iran, going about their routine duties. When the attacks in Mumbai began, they quickly grasped the gravity of the situation. Although not officially dispatched at first, they took the initiative to prepare and move out to counter the terrorists. Marcos played a crucial role in evacuating guests and staff from the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, especially in the early stages of the operation. Their swift actions saved lives and provided essential support to the local police and later the National Security Guard, NSG, who took over the broader counter-terrorism operations. Marcos, short for Marine Commandos and officially known as the Marine Commando Force, MCF, are the Indian Navy's elite special forces. Established in 1987, their origins trace back to 1986, when the Indian Navy began planning for a unit capable of maritime missions, raids, reconnaissance, and counter-terrorism. 3 officers from the Navy's diving unit, trained with the U.S. Navy SEALs and the British Special Boat Service, became the founding members of this force, initially called the Indian Marine Special Force, IMSF. In 1991, the name was changed to Marine Commando Force to reflect their unique identity. Marcos personnel, selected from the Indian Navy in their early 20s, undergo an extremely rigorous selection and training process. Training spans 7 to 8 months and covers airborne operations, combat diving, counter-terrorism, anti-hijacking, anti-piracy, and unconventional warfare. The majority of their training occurs at INS Abhimanyu, their home base. The selection process is intense, with a 3-day physical fitness and aptitude test that screens out 80% of applicants, followed by a grueling week known as Hell's Week, akin to the U.S. Navy SEALs' Hell Week. Only 15 to 20% of volunteers ultimately qualify as Marcos. All Marcos are trained in Halo Haho freefall parachuting and are skilled in diverse combat environments. Some also qualify to operate the Cosmos 2-man submarines. Their training includes collaborations with Indian Army Special Forces, such as the Para-SF, and further specialized training at institutions like the High Altitude Warfare School in Kashmir and the Counter-Insurgency and Jungle Warfare School in Mizoram. Marcos are highly specialized in maritime operations, but are capable of operating across various terrains. They have conducted numerous operations. The exact size and specific missions of Marcos remain classified, but their known operations include Operation Pawan, 1987. Marcos captured the harbors of Jaffna and Trincomalee in Sri Lanka as part of the Indian Peacekeeping Force. In one notable operation, they swam 12 kilometers with full combat gear to rig explosives at an LTTE harbor, successfully destroying it and escaping without casualties, despite heavy enemy fire. Operation Rahat, 2015, Marcos ensured the safe passage of thousands of civilians during the Indian Navy's rescue operation in war-torn Yemen, amidst intense fighting and airstrikes. And of course, Operation Black Tornado, 2008, Marcos played a vital role in storming the Trident and Taj hotels during the 26/11 Mumbai attacks. Marcos regularly conduct anti-piracy operations in both national and international waters and are also deployed in Kashmir. Reports suggest that they are also deployed alongside the Indian Army in eastern Ladakh against the Chinese military. SFF is organized into 6 battalions, 1 Vikas, 2 Vikas, 3 Vikas, 5 Vikas, 6 Vikas, and 7 Vikas, each consisting of approximately 800 soldiers. The Special Group, SG, also known as the Mavericks, is the Covert Special Forces Unit of India's Research and Analysis Wing, RNAW or RAW, the country's foreign intelligence agency. Known as 4 Vikas, 22 SF or 22 SG, this unit is responsible for clandestine and covert operations. Established in 1981 as a classified unit within RAW, the special group was tasked with conducting covert operations. The Directorate General of Security, a secret organization created with CIA's assistance following the Sino-Indian War of 1962, was placed under RAW's control in 1968. In 1982, under Project Sunray, the Directorate initiated the formation of a new unit. An officer from the Indian Army's Para-SF was selected to assemble a team of 250 personnel. By early 1983, a small contingent of 6 members had been sent to a discreet military base in Israel, where they underwent specialized training by a Mossad team. Initially, the SG's mandate resembled that of the British Special Air Service, focusing on counter-terrorism and hostage rescue. However, these responsibilities were later transferred to the National Security Guard, NSG. The current mandate of the SG remains classified, and the total number of operatives in the unit is officially not known. Although the SG is known as 4 Vikas, it is not part of the Special Frontier Force, SFF. Unlike the SFF, which operates under the Indian Army's command despite being under RAW, the special group functions directly under the Directorate General of Security within RAW. It operates under the command of the Prime Minister through the Cabinet Secretariat. Comparatively, the SG can be seen as India's counterpart to the CIA's Special Activities Center, making it one of the most secretive units among Indian special forces. The special group recruits personnel from all branches of the Indian Armed Forces, primarily from special forces units. To be considered for the special group, recruits must already be part of the special forces. After serving in the SG on deputation, personnel typically return to their original units. The SG comprises specialized branches dedicated to intelligence gathering, operational planning, communications, and training. The SG's responsibilities include conducting clandestine intelligence operations and covert missions that the Indian government may not want to be publicly associated with. This unit only exists to execute high-risk operations, the details of which remain classified. Additionally, the SG plays a crucial role in developing tactics and training procedures for other Indian special forces. The special group is regarded as one of the most capable, well-equipped, and most secretive special forces units in India. It is reportedly provided with the latest and most advanced equipment. While most of its missions remain unknown, the SG has been involved in black operations outside India and is also known to have operated in Kashmir. Each special forces unit within the Indian Armed Forces has traditionally operated under the command of its respective branch, each possessing distinct skill sets tailored to its unique mission profile. However, the establishment of the Armed Forces Special Operations Division in 2018 marked a significant leap in the evolution of India's special operations capabilities. This integrated tri-service division was created to execute special operations by drawing elite personnel from the Para Special Forces of the Indian Army, Marcos of the Indian Navy, and the Garud Commando Force of the Indian Air Force. The AFSOD is envisioned to eventually evolve into a full-fledged tri-service command, akin to Special Operations Command, SOCOM, of United States military. Positioned as India's central hub for conducting special operations both domestically and internationally, the creation of this division serves multiple strategic purposes. By centralizing command, it streamlines operations and enables the special warfare units to utilize common equipment and resources, reducing operational costs while enhancing logistical efficiency. More importantly, the integration fosters greater synergy during joint operations, enabling the AFSOD to leverage the unique strengths of each unit under a unified command structure. Beyond its core components from the Army, Navy, and Air Force, the division maintains operational control over specialized assets, including transport aircraft, advanced weapon systems, and surveillance equipment. While its involvement in Kashmir is known, any other operations the division may have conducted remain classified.